you're already familiar with, variables. So I'm just going to go over a few samples of some different problems, okay? So just real quickly, and a little bit of vocabulary. As you guys know, of course, a variable is usually a letter, but it represents an unknown quantity. That's a W. An unknown quantity. Quantity just meaning amount. So again, today we're starting out with stuff that should not be too difficult. The word expression. If I have a variable expression, an expression means that there's no equal sign. Okay, so for an example of an expression, it could be 3 plus x. It could be 6a, something like that. That's an expression. It doesn't have an equal sign. Can I solve either one of these? If I don't know the variable, can I solve? Right, so the way these are right now, I can't solve. But what if I asked you, or the book asked you, to evaluate the expression? If you see these kinds of instructions, evaluate the expression, and I'll say, for example, if a equals 5. Now, of course, I only used an a in one of my expressions up here, so let's choose the one that has the a in it. If a equals 5, what operation do I have between the 6 and the a? Brian? Right, anytime they're mushed together, it's multiplication. So what this means, it's not 65, right? It's 6 times whatever a is. So 6 times 5 if a equals 5. Evaluate the expression means to plug in the amount for the variable and to get an answer. Okay, not too hard. Again, we're going to start out relatively simply. Now, how we would make evaluating a little more complicated, because you're so smart now, is to just make the expression a little bit longer. So I'm going to keep my a equals 5. So let's say the expression now, 5a minus 3 plus b. So we're going to keep our a equals 5, and I'm going to say b equals 9. So right, that first one, 6a, that was pretty simple. We just plugged in the 5 for a. Now I've got two variables, so I just have to make sure to put the right amount in with the right number and pay attention to the operations. 5 times a, if a is 5, 5 times 5. 3 plus b, if b is 9, I replace it with 9. So evaluate just means substitute the value and then simplify to get an answer. Now the parentheses here point out to us some PEMDAS, right? Order of operations. We do the parentheses first. 5 times 5, 25. 3 plus 9, 12. Now I finish up to get 13. Not too hard, right? This first chapter is going to be a lot of review of stuff you already know, maybe with some more complicated problems. But other than that, nothing too new just yet. Okay, the last thing you're going to see, and in fact this is how it's going to start, is just, it's going to say simplify. So we've kind of already done this after we plugged in the numbers. Simplify just means get the answer. So for example, if I say 54 divided by 8 minus 2. Simplify it following PEMDAS. So follow PEMDAS, your order of operations. We'll spend more time reviewing PEMDAS later, but hopefully everybody remembers it, the basics. So again, P parentheses first. 54 divided by 6, because 8 minus 2 is 6. And 54 divided by 6 is 9. Now, your quiz on Tuesday. No calculators. However, I will give you relatively simple numbers to work with For example, 54 divided by 6, it's just the backwards of the 9 times 6 times table. So there will be no calculators allowed on the quiz because some of what we're going to be doing in the next couple lessons, I need to see first that you can do it without your calculator. Okay, I will always tell you if a calculator is not going to be allowed. You will be allowed to use your notebook, just not your calculator for this quiz. There's not too many. Most of them you will be allowed to use your calculators. All right, now, that's it for today. The only other thing I need to remind you, math homework format. Fold it in half, start down one side, continue down the other. Leave a blank line in between problems. Here's what I need for you to do on your homework today. For the benefit of our new students, what's WTP stand for? Write the problem. Write the problem. Show your work. Now, that's for where there's work to show. Notice, like on this one, what I want to see is show me plugging the numbers in. The rest of it is mental math. If at this point you can do, without making any mistakes, 25 minus 12 and cut straight to the answer, that's great. But I want to see you plugging the number in. You have to show me something. And finally, box your answer. Do not bring your alligator. Now, the problems for homework.